Can the Seattle Seahawks afford a curveball in open free agency and still take care of their needs? What is up, everybody? Good morning. It is Thursday. We're getting close, guys. We're getting real close to free agency. Quick reminder that there is going to be a B&B show, or Talking Seahawks with the Hawks Nest show. Starts in a couple of hours here. Starts at noon Pacific. So we haven't had a show for several weeks now because there's been very little to talk about. But this last show is going to be kind of a last discussion before free agency opens, as well as a discussion of the combine. So if you're interested in knowing our free agent targets, and if you're interested in knowing how we feel about the combine, definitely tune in. We're obviously going to be doing shows down the line to talk about post free agency, or at least post wave one of free agency, and then we're going to have some shows on the draft. But this first show is going to be quite a bit because it's the last show before free agency opens. So this is going to be Path B. It's different than the first path, but in some ways it attacks the same areas. It just has slightly different priorities. It just does its attacking in a slightly different way. And it's definitely got a curveball in there that I admit is not very likely, but it is something that I would like, and it's something that I think is not impossible. So one thing I should say is that these paths are forged largely assuming that my priors happen. I'm assuming that Lockett is not going to be here. I'm assuming that Ernest Jones gets re-signed. I mean, how can I not assume those things? If I don't assume those things, then I'm going to have my priors in a completely different place, and it's going to be really hard to say anything meaningful at that point. Like, obviously, we don't really need a wide receiver if we keep Lockett, but how can I assume we're going to keep Lockett? We really need a linebacker if we don't keep Ernest Jones, but at this point, I have every reason to believe we will, even if it's not guaranteed yet. So keep that in mind if you're wondering, where's the linebacker? I'm assuming the linebacker is already here. Okay. Please like this video if you haven't already. Subscribe if you're new. Click the bell for notifications. Become a channel member for $2 a month. One quick note is big boards are going to be coming soon. And if you want to see the full big board when I post it up, then you have to become either a Ring of Honor tier member or pledge to the Patreon for $10 or more. And yeah, draft season's kicking off very soon. That's going to be fun. I'm already putting in the work on it, but we are going to be burning rubber on draft conversations after this. Okay, so Path B, let's go ahead and open it up. The curveball hits quickly. Khalil Mack. I know that it's out there, right? It's not what you would have expected. But Khalil Mack is coming off a great season. I know he didn't put up numbers the way that he did in 2023, but he was still a high-end player. So good at playing well-rounded edge. Even at his advanced age, still so good at creating pressure and collapsing the pocket while playing the run. PFF ranks him as one of the top 4 or 5 edges in the league for a reason. It's not unearned. It's 100% earned. And you will have no issues at the edge position if you bring in Mack. Mack is somebody who, at his age, might benefit from a reduced role. Now, he won't be getting a reduced salary, I don't think, because he's played so well the last 2 years. Maybe you could work something out. Spotrac projects 3 years, $71 million, which is going to make people uncomfortable, and I get it, but he would do so much for this defense. I'm telling you, it would be worth it or very close to worth it. So definitely a curveball, definitely a little bit out there, but 3 years, $71 million, probably get that first year cap hit down to $11 million, no problem. And I think that we would end up being very happy with what he gives this team. Obviously, it's not the biggest need on this team right now, and you could definitely make an argument that by the end of that contract, or near the end of it, we'll be regretting it a bit. That may be true, but for at least the first year, I think we're going to be very, very happy with that. And we're going to have one of the best edge rotations and best pass rushes in football. Maybe the best. I don't know. Okay, so That's my big move. Now, what I did here is I found ways to address the offensive line with less money so I could afford Mac. Aaron Banks becomes your left guard. 3 years, $30 million. I'm a little suspicious of these Shanahan offensive linemen. I am. But he should be good. And the first year cap hit should be $6.5 million. So you're shaving a little bit off from where you were with Tevin. So 3 years, $30 million for Banks. That should set you up for at least the next couple years at having a quality left guard. He's not quite money in the bank the way that Tevin Jenkins is to me, but I think he's good. Maybe he'll be great. I don't know what his upside is. I'm a little bit wary of the Shanahan guys. You guys know me. But you have to take a leap of faith at some point if you don't want to spend top dollar. So this is the leap of faith that I make. I take the leap of faith that Banks is going to be good outside of Shanahan's system, and I give him $30 million. And then for my center, I'm getting Coleman Shelton, which is kind of like the pull tab in case of emergency option if you want an upgrade at center, but you don't want to have your cost pushed up, right? Coleman Shelton is a very viable starter in this league. He's been a good starter in this league for some time now. He's been a Ram, he's been a Bear, and he's been good in both places. So there's no reason to believe that he's not good, but that's about it. Like, there's nothing beyond good. He's not elite, he's not great, he's never going to be any of those things. So you get him for cheaper. 2 years, $12 million. That's a $4 million cap hit that first year. And you use the savings from Dahlman and Tevin Jenkins to go get a guy like Mac. So that is kind of the way I balanced it out, right? Because Path A, if you'll remember, had us spending top dollar on Jenkins and Dahlman and then getting kind of a reclamation project in Ojulari. This way, we're getting the certified blue chip edge, and we're aiming a little bit lower at guard and center. So this is just another way to kind of accomplish a similar thing. And it's a little more shaky, but at the same time, it would supercharge your pass rush. It would supercharge your front seven. Okay, and then after that, there isn't a lot of money left. So, again, by the way, just to reiterate, I'm trying to keep my expenditures on these paths or plans or whatever to 25 million or so in 2025 cap hit money. So I don't want to go crazy here. I could definitely create more cap space if I wanted to, but let's say they don't. Mo Alley Cox, big tight end, good blocker. I think that he brings some unique things in the NFL right now. We live in a world of tight ends that are kind of undersized and not really good blockers, and they're just out there trying to be playmakers. Mo Alley Cox is a bigger guy who's more known for being like I don't want to say a sixth offensive lineman out there, but he does bring unique things to the table. A 1 year, $2 million for him at this point, I think, should be sufficient. And he tries to basically be what Pharaoh Brown was supposed to be last year. Pharaoh Brown came here last year supposedly as a really good blocker, and he didn't do nothing. So Mo Alley Cox becomes this year's Pharaoh Brown. Hopefully he's able to actually occupy that role. Now, to a certain extent, it's a little bit harder to justify a signing like Mo Alley Cox if we don't release Noah Fant. At this point, I don't know what's going on with Noah Fant. I've been working under the assumption that he gets released, but it's starting to sound like that may not happen. So that's something to keep in mind. That would obviously change considerations. Okay, then I'm getting Maurice Hurst as a depth defensive lineman, basically like your backup 3-tech. Just somebody to occupy a handful of snaps a game behind Murphy and Big Cat. I think we need another 3-tech type player behind those two guys, but it can't be somebody we're spending a ton of money on, or it has to be somebody that can also do nose tackle stuff. So Maurice Hurst, 1 year, $1.5 million should be more than sufficient in that role. And it's just basically a way to bring in one more guy who can make a little bit of an impact. And I mean, he's going to be better than Roy Robertson Harris, right? Roy Robertson Harris, he made significantly more money than this. Maybe not all from us, but you will get more from Hurst than you did from Roy Robertson Harris, I think. So can't really beat that trade because think of all the money you were going to pay RRH if he was still here in 2025. So that's a different way to go about it. That's just a different way to attack the same basic idea. Not exactly the same, obviously, but this is just another way that I think this team becomes a lot better in 2025. So let me know what you think. I know this one's not going to be as popular as the last one. It's not a crowd pleaser, but at the same time, I'm telling you that Khalil Mack has a lot of love to give in this league. And if you bring him in, if you were to get him on this defense, the supercharging of that side of the ball, I think, would be worth the trade-off you're making on being a little bit less ambitious on the offensive line. By the way, this also allows you to be a little more ambitious in the draft on the offensive line as well, if you decide to take that path. But that's a conversation for another time. See you guys later. Go Hawks. Let me know what you think down below. Show with the Hawks Nest in less than 3 hours now. Be there. See you guys soon.